Hey guys, I'm Kim and today I will be reviewing Volume 1 of Batgirl, The New 52. Alrighty, first off, rating 4 out of 5. I think this was a great comic, I really loved it, and I'm really excited that this was the first sort of Bat comic I got into. So the fact that I loved Batgirl so much, I'll probably start reading the Batman and a few others, even Nightwing, which I've been a bit iffy on for a little while, but in this book I loved the Nightwing integration into the comics, so I'm feeling it really well at the moment. Now, I've heard so many people praising Gail Simone, and I can finally say that I love her writing. I know now what everyone is praising her for, and I really do think she's a fantastic writer. She's so good at getting the female voice out there. She's very witty, and she really understands her characters as well. I mean, she understands everything about her characters, the fact what their motives are, what their fears are, where they've come from, what they want to be doing. It's really fantastic to see that, and she really writes sort of in their mindset as well. We get to see not only how Batgirl interacts with all the other characters, but what's going on in her mind as well. We get to see her innermost thoughts, which is really exciting to understand the character when you've never read her before. Now, I really did like the art in this as well. I thought it was great. At times, I think it was a little bit too over-detailed in some of the girls' facial expressions, and they looked a little bit masculine, but it might just be the type of art that I'm looking at. This is probably why I prefer sometimes the Wonder Woman art from the New 52. It shows the feminine side of the characters more so than going for the super detailed muscles and veins all in the face. So sometimes I didn't like this art, but most of the time it was pretty good. Now, first off, we learned that Batgirl, aka Barbara Gordon, was shot by the Joker and had been put in a wheelchair for a long time, and she's just recently recovered after some surgery, and she wants to get back into the business again. So we saw a lot of her fears and her insecurities from the incident with the Joker and how it reflects in the villains that she's fighting. For example, she has a little bit of a freak out when one of the villains in the book, called Mirror, has a gun pointed at her. So the fact that she was shot by a gun, I think all of this traumatic stress is coming back into it, and the way that Simone writes this is really fantastic. We get to see the difficulties that Barbara's facing in all of these problems that she's having, and it's really interesting to see how she puts this into her sort of super heroine abilities and how she's fighting all the crime at night. Now, we only saw very mild villains in this volume, so we saw a villain called Mirror and someone called Gretel, so just very minor villains at this stage, which I think is probably a good idea, seeing as she's just recovering from being in a wheelchair and getting the use of her legs back up. So the fact that they're just minor villains, I think, is fine. I think a lot of people were a bit iffy on the sort of villains that she chose, but she can't be going against really big people at the moment. It just, I think it'll put a lot of stress on her, and I think we just want her to get better and better, not, you know, go out into the field for a week and then back in her wheelchair straight away. So I like that she chose lesser villains because it puts a level of realism into it, how she's recovering from this incident. So the villains that she chose, I was perfectly okay with. Now, I've never ever been a fan of Robin or Nightwing. I've always found him very irritating, but I happen to really like I didn't know that Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson had a relationship, so seeing that sort of flirtation between them in this comic got me more interested in Nightwing and what he is as a character. So I'm thinking of picking up some of the Nightwing comics and reading a bit more about him, because I really did like his character in this. He seemed kind of, I don't know, fun and interesting. So the fact that he was incorporated into this comic was, I think, a great thing for people that haven't read Batgirl and don't know a lot about the Bat universe, because I had no idea they were recently, or whatever, just in a relationship or whatever. They've had this flirtation for a long time, so it was interesting for me to see that as well, because I had no clue. So that was very exciting. We also saw a really nice relationship with Batman. Now, to me, Batman has always been, you know, sort of a badass character, very stoic, doesn't really like to show his feelings a lot, but we saw a lot of his sensitive side in this comic, he really sympathized with Barbara from being in the hospital. She thought he would be completely offhandish and tell her, you know, she's not good enough, she should have never been Batgirl. But the fact that he was so sensitive about it, he actually held her hand in the hospital and was very open about it, and he was very, I don't know, it was just interesting to see this side of Batman's character, because I haven't read the Batman comics, so I don't really know what he's like in his own comics, but he was a little bit more talkative than I've seen him before, which was exciting. And she also got some help from him going up again against the final villain, which was Gretel. And I like the dynamic between Batman and Batgirl. It was fun seeing them fight together and seeing them work together, and it's just really exciting. So I think I'm probably going to pick up a few more Batman comics and see how it goes, because I do like the whole dynamics going between him and his sidekicks, Nightwing and Batgirl. Also, going back to the mild villains that Simone chose as well, I think it's very refreshing to get into a comic that doesn't have to rely on space aliens and villains that have these epic powers. So I think that might be a huge reason why there's so many Batman fans, because I just found Batgirl to be a very simple story which you can easily get into and understand, and the villains aren't too weird. Well, some of them are weird, but they're not too out there that you're thinking, what's going on here? I don't even know anything about you, I don't know any of your powers. The villains are sort of either they're just crazy or they've gotten on the wrong side of the tracks or something like that, and that they can actually take on each other in a level fight without thinking about who has the upper hand in terms of powers and strength and stuff. So I really did like that in reading this Batgirl comic. It really brought me into a sense of reading about someone who can actually die. I think it's very interesting to read comics like that. So the fact that, yeah, they have villains that can kill them, that can die, that they can die is, I think it makes the storyline more exciting and you feel more for them and more afraid for them. So I loved this about the Batgirl one. I thought, oh my god, you know, she can actually die. She's not invulnerable. So I really like that about this comic as well. Now, while I love this comic, of course, there's always things that you don't like about certain comics. So what I did not like about this comic was that even though it's supposed to be a New 52 relaunch, it didn't actually relaunch it from the beginning. I mean, from what I know of Batgirl, she was shot pre to the New 52, so I find it weird that they've brought that into the New 52 instead of completely cleaning the slate and starting again. They've brought this one event into this comic again, and we never saw like the very beginning of when she was being trained by Batman, when she was with Nightwing. We saw like a flashback or two in this comic, but we didn't see it from the very beginning. She's just gotten out of a wheelchair, gotten back into the game, but we never saw how she got into the game in the first place. That's something I would have loved to see. Maybe they'll touch on it again, but it seems a lot of the New 52 titles aren't doing that. They're going straight into, these people have powers, or these people, this is the character and this is their powers, here they go, and they just run with the storyline, and then you learn more about them as you go if you don't know about the character already. So there is that. So I wish we could have seen a little bit more of her pre-existence, but you know, whatever. Overall, I thought this was a great comic. I'm so glad I picked it up, and I'm definitely going to pick up the future volumes, maybe read a bit more Batman and Nightwing. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.